Hello, Josuela Desma here for yet another draft. Here we're doing the original Ravnica block draft, um, which is pretty fun format. I didn't get to draft it a lot, but I always like drafting it when they bring it back. Just to give a little history of limited formats in general, this was the second multicolor block um, that really that was designed with um, limited in mind. So the first one was Invasion Block, which was the first real multicolor block that was draftable. And they realized that as cool as it was, a lot of the mana fixing wasn't there um, because of Domain. Domain, which was a mechanic that pushed you to B5 colors, um, or rewarded you for being 5 colors. There was that push, and there was allied colors push, and then the end of the set, Apocalypse, was very enemy colored oriented and 3 color push. So you had like these wedge colors like the Dega, Anna, Raka, I forget the others, but basically they were enemy colored tricolors, so like the opposite of Shards of Alara, um, uh, shards, I guess. Um, so with Ravnica, they stuck to the 2 color format, and as you now know, is the guilds. But it was also kind of tough because you had all these. You had in the first few packs, you had your guilds, and you knew what you were gonna pick. But the problem was like this Ravnica, and there are I think 4 guilds, and then the next pack will be 4 guilds, and then the next pack would be the last 3 guilds. So you really only drafted your guild once, which was kind of a problem. So what the strategy here is basically pick a guild, pick 3 colors. You want to be at least 3 colors, and those 3 colors all need to have a guild in each pack, so you could actually, you know, play them. You could actually draft well. So here I actually don't know. I like blue in this format a lot, so I think I'm going to take Flight of Fancy. Guardian of Vitsugazi is good. The Convoke, you basically tap a creature to reduce the mana cost of a spell. But I don't like Selesnya because Selesnya makes it really difficult. Actually, I'm just going to take a Boros Signet. Yeah, mana fixing is very important, and so is Excel. And these are pretty strong cards. While Boros Signet uh, ooh, is very Boros is an aggressive guild. It's not really that aggressive in this set, mostly because this is like the same exact pack. Wow, that's ridiculous. Radiance is Boros' mechanic, which basically says do something to that creature and each other creature that shares a color with that creature. It's a very wonky mechanic. It's hard to control. And it doesn't really do much. So Boros was kind of shafted in its mechanic. Here I'm just gonna take Sisters of Stone Death. It's a very flavorful card. 3 sisters. They each have 3 abilities. Basically, it amounts to once you have a lot of mana and this card is out, you just start exiling creatures, and then you could put them back under your control. It takes a lot of mana. It's pretty slow, but it's pretty fun. And I think I really like Golgari, actually, going Golgari. So I have no problem taking that. This can be like, this can help me splash something, or it can help me just accelerate. You know, I don't. At worst, if this is like um, like a Mind Stone, like a Mind Stone that you can't draw a card off of, I think that's okay. So here we have a couple of strong cards. There's a Bramble Elemental, which again goes with that. There's a small aura / enchantment theme in this block. Same thing you can see with Dowsing Shaman. My picks are actually between Elves of Deep Shadow and Seed Spark. I really like Seed Spark. It's pretty sweet. It showcases a mechanic that they had throughout the Ravnica block, which was if X color was spent to cast this spell, do something that color would do. So this could be a white naturalize that's expensive, but if you paid a green, it's like an inherent kicker cost. Like if you paid a green incidentally, you'd get that. And I think my computer froze. So I'm taking Elves of Deep Shadow, and it definitely did freeze. So I'll be right back. Okay, and I missed a pick. Great. Thanks a lot, Moto, for freezing. I got an unplayable when I should have had something better. Okay. So here the best card in this set, in this pack, is easily Vidalcan Dismisser. And I actually love green, black, blue, because I could be Golgari in this pack, I could be Simic in the last pack, and I can be Dimir in the next pack. I know Dimir's in this pack. Well, no, I don't remember. That's okay. But this card's just sweet. 6 mana, put a creature on top of the library. It's like an FTK. It just removes a creature, it gives you a lot of tempo, and the 2/2 body's not worthless, so I like it. And here's a very strong. I like getting this 5th. That's a pretty good sign. So these are the Guild Mages. If you know Return to Ravnica block, they had Guild Mages, but they were gold, so they required both colors. These are hybrid Guild Mages, so you could play them in a non-green deck or in a non-black deck as long as you had one of the colors. The thing about Guild Mages is that basically they're really strong late game because they're mana sinks and you can do a lot with them. And I really like Golgari Guild Mage. I think it's very flexible once it gets going. And it's 2-drop, which is okay by me. Alright, so we have some cards here. There's another Vidalcan Dismisser. There's a Drooling Rudion, which is pretty sweet. 5 mana for sacrifice a creature. Target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Another target creature gets -2/-2 until end of turn. I don't know how good it is. I don't know if it's better than another Dismisser. There's also Moldavine Cloak, which is really good, just because it lets you get aggressive. But I don't like being aggressive. So this is that Radiance mechanic. So Cleansing Beam deals 2 damage to target creature and each other creature that shares a color with it. For 5 mana, even if for 5 mana it said deal 2 damage to everything, I don't know if I'd like it. I'm going to take this just because I haven't played with it a lot, and Golgari does tend to make tokens, so this can actually be a really strong card. Here we have a pretty crappy pack. There's a Devouring Light, which I think is the strongest card. Again, Convoke allows you to tap a creature to remove either a colorless mana cost or a color requirement that creature is. So you could tap 3 white creatures and it's free, basically. Here I'm gonna take Gather Courage. It could be a free pump spell or, you know, just a mini giant growth. I think it's good enough here. Gaze of the Gorgon's not good. Has a lot of text, but it's 4 mana. I don't really like it. Alright, so here we have not a great pack. There's a Junk Troller, 4 mana 06. Don't really like that. Oh, I thought this was 5 mana for some reason. I just saw it wrong. That's okay. I could take Golgari Brown Scale. So this is the dredge mechanic is basically you could choose to draw this card from your graveyard, and the number associated with it is how much you mill from the top of your deck as a cost. And this is why it has that when it's put into your graveyard you gain 2 life, which is pretty nice. I think it's okay. The 2/3 body's not great, but I think it's flexible enough that I like it. And here, all these cards kind of suck. I think on the off chance that we're going to play white, I'll play Bathing Light. Choose a color. This was like the only playable Radiance card because it could basically mean all your creatures have protection from X. Alright, so here's a pretty good card. Rolling Spoil, destroy target land. If blank was spent to cast Rolling Spoil, If black, all creatures get -1/-1. There's two reasons why this card could be good. One, there are a lot of tokens running around because of Golgari and because of Selesnya, the green-white guild. Also, there are these bounce lands. We've seen 0, which is bad. But these bounce lands, which basically, they tap for 2 mana of a guild, and when they come into play, you have to bounce a land. So it turns out to be card advantage, but when you destroy it, it's a huge tempo swing. Here I'm going to take Seed Spark. Looks like white is open. Goliath Spider's okay, 8 mana, 7/6, but we could get big creatures. And, alright, take another rolling spoil. We didn't see any of the bounce lands, and the bounce lands are really, really good. So that kind of sucks, but that's fine. Also, we only saw Borrow Signets, which is bad. I really wish we did have an Elves of Deep Shadow, though. Check Siren. So, like, I mean, this card's okay, but especially in Limited, you're going to have a bunch of multicolored creatures, so whatever you might pump, you're probably pumping at least one creature that they have. So it makes for these awkward board situations where you don't even really want to play it because it's not that great. Alright, so here we go. So there's Invoke the Firemind, which is actually pretty good. It's like the opposite of a Sphinx's Revelation, but one or the other. So it's really good if we're Izzet, but we're pretty far from it. I actually think I'm gonna take I could take Orzhov Signet or Steam Core Weird. I think these are the two best cards. I think because I have these expensive cards, and I'm probably just gonna go 4 colors because that's what I like doing. I'm probably just gonna take the Orzhov Signet because I do like being white as well. I have a Seed Spark. Thousand Gloom is okay, but it's only 2 damage, so it's pretty weak. Actually, what's better than Orzhov Signet is the Silhanus Starfletcher. This is a pretty sweet card. It blocks all the 2-power flyers, and it fixes your mana. So yeah, this is way better than Orzhov Signet, actually. On second thought, just fixing your mana and accelerating is just so strong in this format because you have these large creatures. Okay, so there's an Orzhov Pontiff, which is better in Constructed than it is in Limited. -1/-1 isn't great. Like, it's not worth a card, and neither is a 1/1. And the haunt mechanic, let me do this here. Yeah, so when it dies, exile it, haunting target creature. It's kind of like a wonky mechanic. I really like it. I think it's flavorful, but apparently it was too complicated and like not a lot of people really understood it. Basically, you haunt something, you remove from the game and exile it, haunting target creature, so basically under a creature. And when that creature dies, you get an effect equal to the enters the battlefield effect of whatever creature has haunt. So I guess when you try to explain it, it is pretty complicated, and that's why they deemed it a failure. I'm just going to take this card. I love it. It's a 2/1 flyer that makes your opponent discard a card, and that's very sweet. Alright, this is exactly what I wanted. Alright, so Orzhov, these are the lands I was talking about. They're the best. They're 2 lands in 1, so you're basically getting, that's card advantage. You're getting 2 cards for 1. It's very low opportunity cost. I mean, yeah, you take a turn off basically, but this is a big mana format. I don't know if you noticed. So early turns you have this, and you fix your mana. You ensure you have land drops. It's just all around a good card. I love them. Also, it's important to know, if you have multiple of these, you never want to draw. As slow as the format is, you always want to play, because if you draw, like, okay, it's your turn, you have 8 cards in your hand, okay, I play my land, go. It's your turn again, you're back to 8 cards in your hand. If you play this, you're gonna have to discard. So you almost never want to go, second when you have multiple bounce lands. Now here, this is tough. So we could splash the blue. I wouldn't be against that. We could take this Agent of Masks, but it's really not great. I love the card. I think it's cool. Each opponent loses 1 life, you gain life. You gain 1 life basically. It's fun. It's nice. It's a bleeder. It stalls a little bit, but 5 mana for 2/3 is not the kind of thing you want to be doing. I'd much rather take this because one, it has one of our colors, and it allows us to splash. And again, this card is 2 lands, and that's really important when I'm trying to cast 8 mana and 6 mana spells. Outside of that, there's nothing else good. I don't like Smog Seed Rider. I'm not aggressive. I'm looking to bring big creatures out. Okay, so now here's Gruul Guildmage is really good. I think I might take that. There's a Dowsing Gloom, but we saw like 3, and I wouldn't mind. I think we might wheel one, but this card is nuts. I've seen it in play, and it's crazy. One, don't think of it as a red-green card because I'm thinking of it as a green card. It messes up combat math so much, or it just lets your guys get in there for unblockable damage because you have this pump ability in play. It makes them more hesitant to attack, and then if I do end up with red, I could just get aggressive and you know, they're at 4, they're at 6 life. Okay, just start doming you for 2. So I think it's better than anything. There's also Withstand in the in the pack, which is prevent 3 damage, draw a card for 3 mana. I like that card a lot actually. I think it's pretty cool. At the worst, it cycles and gains you 3 life, but it could do some things here. So there is the original Borborgmos, much worse. It's pretty boring. They kind of shied away from making cards like this, in which, okay, if it does combat damage to a player, do something. It's a 6/7. If you start hitting your opponent with it, probably gonna win. I mean, it helps little that it has trample, but even so, it's not that much fun. I'm just gonna take this Absolver Thrall. I won't main deck it, but like I said, there are enchantments that you kind of want to get rid of, and this just lets you do that. So it's nice to have this in mind while you're sideboarding. All right, so here there's a Gristleback or a Gruul Signet. So this is Gruul's mechanic, Bloodthirst 1. Basically, if your opponent was damaged, you could play it as a 3/3. This card was way better when damage stacked. Back in the day, you could stack damage and then sacrifice it, so you could block a 3/3, stack the damage, so to say, and then sacrifice it, so you gain 3 life and it does 3 damage to that creature. That's pretty good. Without that, this is like an okay Bringlebore, and you know how I feel about Bringlebore. So I just picked the Gruul Signet. Again, acceleration lets me splash a little bit of this Gruul. I like it. So here are 2 cards. There's a Necromancer's Mage Mark, which actually is okay for an enchantment. It's bad, as always, if for instant speed removal. But I think I'm actually going to take this Tinstry Hooligan. It's okay as a 2-drop, but I like the idea of blowing up other signets. And it looks like we're going more red. And red-black is a guild in the next pack. So we're 5 colors, but it's okay. You know, I got my white. The only thing I'm missing is blue, and I could easily cut the Dismisser. So here's the card I was talking about. When it works well, I really like it. It saves a creature and it draws you a card. And because I have like multiple creatures on my 2 and 3 drops, I could see it being used. So I actually really like it. Here, let's see. So here's a little bit more of the enchantment theme. Cremate's a common here. It's good against Dredge. It's also good just because it cycles. I think I'm just going to take this guy. 4 mana, 2/1 first strike. Not very exciting. 4 mana becomes a 4/3 first strike. Still not very exciting. 4 mana is a lot, basically wastes your turn, but it allows you to just get in there. Alright, so now we're getting to the dredges of the pack. So I want to like this card. It could be a 4 mana 3/3, and then it just messes up combat math. But I think the abilities are too overcosted. I think if there were 2 each, you'd have for a much interesting card. And I could see it as an uncommon like that, because it messes up math. One of the things that they do in one of the things that they haven't done as much in recent limited formats is they've toned down the board complexity. So like this makes a board complex, and like if you have a bunch of activated abilities everywhere and like haunt, it just makes for really complicated board positions in which I think the more attentive player wins out, but also it just it really sucks when you're just like, oh man, I totally didn't see it and it was in front of me, and those kind of mistakes can happen a lot in sets that are just very complicated. So they've kind of toned down the kind of complications that commons have. So like even at this, like this, I see this being uncommon because it's just very strong otherwise. It's just complicated otherwise. Alright, so here we go. Last pack, hopefully it's good. Two clear picks here. Let's look at the rare. Ratcatcher, Fear at the beginning of your upkeep. You may search for a library for a rat card, reveal it, and put it into your hand. I wouldn't mind that card. 4/4 Fear for 6 is pretty good, especially if I had a rat, but I don't have any rats. I think I'm just going to take this Terminate / Land Destruction spell. It's an instant. I think if it was a sorcery, it could be comparable to Cackling Flames. But as is, it's simple. It kills a creature. That's all I needed to do. So it's like a Cackling Flames. Hellbent is another bad mechanic. Let's not just say bad, but it didn't play well. Hellbent was just kind of like a status, whether you were or not Hellbent. And Hellbent meant having no cards in your hand. So it played into the recklessness of Rakdos. But who likes having no cards in their hand? No cards means no options. It's not a great position to be in. So it was kind of a mechanic that said, if you're in a horrible point in the game, then, get this slightly better advantage. So like 4 mana, 3 damage spell turns into 5 mana. 5 damage spell, which isn't great. So Hellbent was another mechanic that was kind of like eh. Here I'm going to take Rakdos Guild Mages. Guild Mages are just great, just amazing. This one, again, 4 mana per cost, and I think it's well balanced. You have a repeatable effect in making a 2/1 Goblin creature, and the little bonus here is that you can make it at the end step, and it's going to stick around for the other turn. So if I make it at the end step of my opponent's turn, I'll have that 2/1 haste at the beginning of my turn, and I can just make more. Otherwise, the -2/-2 really gets the job done. I didn't have time to talk about the rare, but that's okay. Alright, so here, this pack seems terrible. Okay. I'm going to hide these rolling spoils for now, because it's also double green. It's not cool. Gonna hide this double green. I'm gonna hide this Gruul Scrapper. Doesn't seem great. Silver Thrall. Mage Marks. Okay. So what am I taking here? It's between the Jester and the Verdant Eidolon. And this is in all the last packs. Blank Eidolon, 1 for each color. And they all have that bottom line of text. Whenever you cast a multicolored spell, you may return it from graveyard to your hand. And the first line of text is a sacrifice ability. I think this one's the best because it allows you to get it immediately. So if I cast, I sacrifice this, make mana for my Guild Mage, comes right back to my hand, which is nice. That being said, I'm going to take a Demon Jester. 2/2 flying for 4 mana. It's okay, not great. But if I have nothing in my hand, hey, I just now I have a 4/3 flyer, which is way better. Okay, man, this is a really good pack. So there's okay. So the Civic Growth Chamber, which I really like because it can let me play the Dismisser. But there's also an Indrik Stomp Howler, which I really like. 4 mana for 5 mana for 4/4. It's okay, but comes into play to Sword Tiger Artifact or Enchantment. People are playing Signets. People are doing all these things. I really like it. As much as I do like bounce lands, I think there's a chance to get another one, and I think the difference between 4 bounce lands and 3 bounce lands isn't that much. And I think there's a big bonus into having this 5 mana 4/4. Okay, so Leaf Drake Roost, Swarback Trolls, Utopia Sprawl. Okay, so let's look at this rare. 5 mana for 9/9 Trample. Wow, that seems really good. Except it's -4/-4 for each card in your hand. That's not good. When I have double bounce lands, this card's going to be a 1/1 or dead a majority of the time. And again, this just plays into what Rakdos wants to do, and I really don't like it. I'm actually going to take Leaf Drake Roost, which might be the wrong play. Wrong pick. The right pick might be Utopia Sprawl. But I think Leaf Drake Roost is underrated and bonkers if you could get it going. If you could stall out to the point where you're just churning 2/2s each and every turn, that's like crazy good. Okay, so here, let me think. We could play Macabre Waltz or Cytospawn Shambler. Cytospawn just have another big creature. I'll let you read Graft right there. Basically, you can just move when a creature comes into play. You could add one of its counters on it, and the number 6 comes into play with 6 counters. I'm gonna take this because I think my creatures are very good and valuable, and they have these come into play effects. And also, I could see myself just having a bunch of lands in my hand and not much gas. And Macabre Waltz, return up to 2 target creatures from graveyard to your hand and discard a card. So it lets you basically, if you have 2 creatures in your graveyard for 2 mana, exchange 1 for 2, which I think is nice. 2 mana is really attractive there. So here the best card is actually Plaxcaster Frogling. It's a 3 mana 3/3, and you could pump your other creatures, and you could give it another creature Shroud, which is really nice. Unfortunately, I'm like very far from playing blue, and I think I'm going to take this card for the reasons that I stated earlier. We have quite a few gold cards, so I think it'll help. It'll help me play blue. Ooh. Oh, that's so sweet. Easily taking the Simic Signet. I have 2 blue cards. Yeah, very easily. Okay. Thing I don't like about Utopia Sprawl is that you have to enchant a forest. So the nice thing about these kinds of cards, these enchantments that allow your land to tap for mana, is that sometimes you could just play it on one of your other lands and kind of like get that mana back. But because it's enchanted forest, it limits you, so that can't happen as much. Simic Basilic's not great. Simic Signet, I think it's an easy pick here. Okay, so none of these cards are great. Let's look at this. Trial and Error. Counter all creatures blocking or blocked by a target creature to their owner's hand. Counter target multicolored spell. None of these cards are great. It's also a flip card, and don't get it confused, you can't fuse this. Not that you could because of timing restrictions, but this is one or the other, and that's it. Just gonna take it. Maybe play it, I doubt it, but you never know. I'm gonna rare draft this. Rare. Just gonna draft this Ghost Quarter. Never know when it might come into handy. It might. You might just kill one of their bounce lands. I really wish I had another one, but hard to say. So forecast is the Azorius mechanic. You reveal it at the beginning of your upkeep to do usually a minor effect of what the card actually does. So this one you give a creature +1/+1, and the card itself actually gives all your creatures +1/+1. It was okay. It stalled games out a lot because you're just doing that every turn. Um, it was an okay mechanic. Here, it's really nothing. I think I'm just gonna take Psychotic Fury because I have a good amount of multicolored creatures. Target multicolored creature gains double strike until the end of the turn. Draw a card. Could be a cantrip. It's fine. There's actually a combo with Simic Ragworm. There's an enchantment that lets your creature tap to draw a card. And this with blue mana just means turns into a blue mana draw card, which was a really sweet combo when you got it going. Fortunately, we don't have that card, so it's not great. Ooh, Flash Foliage can't be that bad. Basically means you know, prevent all damage target creature would deal to you, deal 1 damage to it, draw a card. Is basically what that means, but in a very green way, which is nice. This card I don't like. It's a 4-mana 2/4, but you have to sacrifice it when a creature comes into play to deal 4 damage to that creature, so it's not great. So this is probably one of the best cards that has the Hellbent mechanic because it just plays into what Hellbent wants to do. So what kind of deck wants to have 0 cards in their hand? Aggressive decks. Um, so, you know, you play this on turn, on whatever turn, +2/+0. That's not great, but it's okay. It's like a 2-power haste creature. But if you have no cards in your hand, get another +2/+0, so that's 4. That's a pretty big game. It makes for a big creature that hit hard or trades up. I mean, of course, it has the inherent disadvantage of being an aura, but when you're trying to be really aggressive to the point of playing this kind of card in this format, you're playing a different game than most people are anyway. So you might be okay with, you know, uh, risking a 2-for-1. All right, so let's look at what we got here. I like this. I like this. I like this. This Simic Signet really saved us a lot because I'm playing 2 blue cards. All right, these are all the cards I definitely want. No. Also, I'm listening to explosions in the sky in case anybody can hear that. Also, I'm recording this day after my last M14 video came out, so if you guys didn't like that, I'm really sorry, but I didn't get that message yet. Dismisser, yeah. Seed Spark, probably. Seed Spark's good with my I have quite a few combos with this Drooling Eidolon. So you sack a creature to give one of your creatures +2/+2 and another of their creatures -2/-2. So again, that combat math, really nice. Also, again, this was great when you could stack damage. So you could make the creature about to sacrifice deal damage, save another creature, and kill a different creature. So it was really good there. Beyond that, I still think it's good. It's good with Seed Spark. It's good with Dismisser. It could be good with Eidolon. It's good with the Rakdos Guildmage because of its second ability. It's expensive, but hey, we have 3 Signets and 2 Bounce Lands. We get to 8 mana. It's good with Leaf Drake Roost. It's even good, I mean, at this point, you know, we're just playing the grindiest game ever. It's good with Golgari Guildmates, like, you know, sacrifice the Dismisser and then bring it back. Like, if I can get to board state where I could just kind of like engine out my opponent just by grinding resources, I could see that happening. But you know, it'd be tough. All right, so playing Withstand. I didn't get as much white as I wanted to, so this Shrieking Grotesque might get awkward. But the Orzhov Basilica and the Burrow Signet help. So these are the cards I definitely want. Plus all these Signets. I only have 11 creatures, which is okay, not great. trying to think of what I want. This 20, I'm probably gonna play. Should I? Some people play 16 lands because of this, because of these guys, and because I have 3 signets. I think I'm gonna be one of those players. Unfortunately, usually in this format, you actually get a lot of strong playables. Ooh, almost forgot you. Actually, no, maybe that's not true. Yeah, that could not be true. But I'm kind of at 21, kind of disappointed that I don't have 2 or 3 other like very obvious cards. But that's okay. Is this a May? Destroy. Okay, this is not a May, which is important. Or would, yeah, yeah. Huh. Yeah, I think I'm only gonna bring this in if I know my opponent has enchantments, because it's too awkward for me to like draw it or have to haunt something and then later have this, or being unable to play it because of Leaf Draper's. Also, many enchantments in this set have a come into play ability. So like in that first pack, that blue enchantment I was gonna pick, it says when it comes into play, um, draw 2 cards, and it gives a chancy creature flying. So I mean, you don't really want to kill that enchantment because it already did what you played it for. So I think I'm gonna play. A Rolling Spoil, just to maybe kind of hedge against token strategies. Also, I have a little mana denial here, so I could really get somebody with it, and also just slow somebody down. Destroy their Gruul Turf or Zub Basilica. For that same reason, the slowdown reason, I'm gonna play this. And this could actually get flyers too. There's a 3/1 flyer that can't block. That's pretty good. I think you could use this because it says after blockers are declared. So it's not like you put it into play and then block. It just comes into play blocking. So it gets around the flying restriction. And we have one more card. It's either Ragworm or Burning Tree Bloodscale. Definitely think Ragworm. I know it's 4 mana, and this might be better, but I don't like double green here, and 4 mana is really not that big of a deal with 3 signets. It doesn't make that much of a difference. This also gives me 13 creatures, and I want to have a little more for Macabre Waltz. So yeah. Also, it could just be Gruul Scrapper, I don't know. But we saw a bunch of Dowsing Glooms, which deal 2 damage. So we'd rather not lose to that. Well, not lose to that, but we'd rather not expose that. Also, this has like some kind of vigilance if you really wanted it to, and I think that's better than having maybe haste, because we're not aggressive at all. So it's either that, or I could see like Flash Foliage being what's the word? Substituted for this, because we do have 1, 2. This makes 3, 4, 5, 6, and you can just play it on their creatures just to draw a card. That might be worth it. And it's more red. Yeah, let's try that. I'm just gonna try stuff. Whatever. Have some fun. Okay, look at all those colors. Alright, so we definitely have the most of green. But we do have 3 sources already. So let's see what you suggest, Moto. So 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm definitely counting signets for color purposes. Then we have 1, 2, 3, 4 red, but I think black is the next one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 4, 5 is okay. I think I might want 6 black, because I have a lot of doubles. And then red, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. But we have quite a few red already. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's great. And then 1 and 1. I like 1 and 1. What is that? Is that 17 lands? Yes, that is 17 lands. So I think we could take out this mountain. So 3, 4, 5. What am I? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for both of these is pretty good. Maybe that's a reason to play the foliage instead. Yeah, you know what? I think that is a reason to play the foliage instead. If I see a lot of tutus, if my opponent has a bunch of tutus, then I'll play this because I could just use it on my tutus. So yeah, 1 island, 1 plains, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I could I could have like very bad. Oh, Seed Spark also plays into the whole mana denial maybe. So yeah, I could easily see myself having mana troubles, but we'll see. This is how I like drafting the format, and it usually works out. So we'll see how it goes. I'll see you for round 1, which is starting very soon.